guys, Deathscyp here from Y.C.G, your casual gamer. Welcome to the part 3 of making the combination system and a Ue4. Now that we have our winning combination going, it's time to make our player combination. So giving the ability to the player to put in their own combination. So I got over here everything set up so I can put it my combination in. And as you can see, I can put 2 times the same number and I cannot interact with them again. That's what we're going to build together, and we're going to have a little check over here when we get to the end. That's going to check the winning combination and the player combination. At the top left of the screen you can see that they are there, so stay tuned. Alright, so let's get started. So first off, I wanted to make a shout out to J White that commented that my numbers over here, my textures were all reversed, and it's actually pretty easy to fix, but I found it funny that I didn't notice. Because like you can see, the actual texture was set on the right number, but I didn't notice when I brought them inside the level that they were all reversed. Now that's done, so let's move on. So now that we have this, we're gonna have to make a few adjustments before we get started. Now just to mention, you in the intro you needed a few tutorials already done to be able to follow with ease. So like you are interacting with the wall using a line trace by channel, and I want to keep my episode short, so I'm gonna assume you know how to make it, since we are at the end of season 3, and I've already covered the subject in 2 different episodes, one that is a quick resume on the subject and one that is a longer version for you to get the full explanation behind it. The link is going to be in the description below, and we're going to continue from there. So since we're using the line trace by channel that I already have over here that we all did together, basically if you want to copy all this, is basically this. So I created a new function, call it trace item, and you have to copy these little nodes over here. So you can pause the video here, pause the video here, and also you need a onInteract event, so a blueprint class. So it's a blueprint interface. Oh, that's is that the one, or is that the one? I don't know why I have to. It's this one on the interact. You just need to make a blueprint interface and make a function in it, and you're ready to continue. So going inside your line trace by channel that we already have over here, we're going to need to get this here and change it into a variable. And now I already have the name I want to call it over here on the side because the case sensitive is important in my case. So we're going to call it the interact hit result. And from there you just connect it to this and you're done inside the main character. Oh, also, I had to do a rescale of the whole scene since I don't know if you guys remember in the last few episodes, but I was a tiny little guy. Like I brought in my character here, and you can see already how big everything is. And imagine everything was double the size. So I had to rescale everything since it was pretty ridiculous. I didn't notice this when I made the scene. So doing this, I had to get inside the line trace over here, and the max use distance was at 220 when we created it, and I bumped it up at 300 just so that we can easily interact with the higher pictures over here. So now that we have this, we can start making the variables that we're going to need. So we're going to jump inside the game instance. Then again, game instance also, I covered the subject many times, and if you did the episode just prior to this one, I did a quick resume on how to make one. So jump inside your game instance, and we're going to make a new variable. Actually, we're actually going to make a copy of the winning combination, because right now we want to make the player combination. So what is going to be the input that the player is going to put in? So we're going to make a duplicate of this one, and we're just going to rename it to player combination, like so. And we're going to put all the variables over here to 0. And just like I was doing, I'm pressing tab to just go through. The way the code was going to go is that if any of the numbers, because you see over here the combination right now, you have 1, 2, 3, or 4 as an option for the combination. If the combination is equal to 0, the program we're going to build together is going to understand that you did not put an input there yet. So therefore, they're going to ask you to make sure to get 1 for each place. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the program's going to ask you, hey, are you sure you activated 1 on each before you check if the combination is right? So this is why we set them to 0 first, and that's why we needed to make that. And you're done, and the game instance. Yes, we are. Now the last thing we have to do, since we're working with sprites, if you think about the sprite in terms of like process, it's very thin. It's one layer of sheet. Normally, I think it's around 5 to 10 for the collision thickness. So if you think about the collision thickness, you have your cube. Well, your collision in a 3D atmosphere is going to be the surrounding of your cube. That's going to be your thickness, which is normally 100 centimeter or 1 meter, depending on which scale we want to check. And so 5 unit is very small. And if you're trying to interact with it, it's going to be pretty hard to do so. So one thing I suggest that you guys do, if you go get your sprites over here that we're using, you can double click to get inside the sprite editor, and we're going to switch the collision thickness to 20. That way the collision is a bit bigger, and the reason I do that is because since you're really close to the wall, one thing I had to do, if you're using the same assets as I am, the ones that came with the Infinity Blade temple scene, this asset in particular, when I went inside this one, I had to play with the collision. If you click on collision and go simple collision, you're going to notice that the square, I already played with it. Like it's not fully going around. And the reason I reduced it is because initially it was like this. So if your combination to be pressed is inside over here, well, this mesh over here is going to interfere with it because you're not popping out of the other collision. So I made sure to make it shorter so that you can interact whatever is stick on the surface. So make sure, so that's the one thing that's really nice. If you have collision on something, you can always edit it. You can't go exactly with the angle you want to play, but you can play with the shape. So at least that it's very easy to go work on. And so now you can do this with all your sprites. I did it with only with the ones that you're going to be interacted with, because really if you saw the intro, if we go with the intro, when you click on one, it becomes lit in, but after that you can't interact with any of the others because you only need one combination. Again, we could, if we want, make a wave so that you can change the combination at will. Maybe in the next episode I'm going to try to do that. That way you wouldn't need a reset button if you're not if you made a mistake and you don't want to die right away. At least if you can recheck your combination, change your combination before you go. I'll see if I can include this. But right now let's just make the combination happen. So now that we have all this set up, we're ready to make the blueprint. So I'm going to get rid of these right here. They don't need to be here anymore. Having to place them after in the scene, like it took quite a while because I had to figure out all these little tricks I gave you about the collision thickness and the collision thickness for the mesh and having to place them in the world. So at least now that we have this, it's going to go quite fast from there. So we're going to go inside here, make a new blueprint class, actor, combin, there you go. Player combin. I don't know where I have another one, but it looks like I do. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go inside. We're going to need to add a few things over here. So right away, we can start with adding a sprite, paper sprite, call it element1. Something you could have done if you wanted to go faster, and we could actually do that. Since the last episode, we already did a program. We already did something right here. We did this over here, and it's basically the same thing to begin with. So I'm going to delete this, and I'm always about saving time for you too. When you're in production and you want to save time, you already have a blueprint with 4 elements over here. So you can control B on this one, and you're going to have this one over here that you can just duplicate. And a nice shortcut to duplicate is control and W. And then instead of calling it puzzle check, you can say puzzle combination. And now when you get inside, you already have your 4 elements all there. You know that this code over here is going to be different, so you can just get rid of all this over here. But we already have a cast to the game instance. That's pretty useful. And then we can just do a cast to the first person class character. Get player character and change this into a variable. My character. There you go. Okay, combine this. So now you have your 4 elements right there, and they're already mask lit. that's another thing I changed. In the previous episode, one other thing I also noticed is that the material before on the sprites were the unlit version over here. And it's inside the scene, it doesn't look quite as authentic when it's there. And to be able to change it, you're going to see that right now I have everything shown. So it's easy for me to switch it to the mask lit. And these are engine contents that are already included when you start a project. But they are hidden by default. So if you go in the show engine content and show, if you disable these two options, then after that you will not be able to find it anywhere. I write mask, this doesn't give me anything. If I enable the plugins and the show engine content and I try that again, now they're going to be back. So keep that in mind. You need to have these up before. So that's what I did actually in the blueprint checkpoint. I changed the element material to mask lit instead so that the lighting in the scene can work on it. And be mindful also that the static lighting, well, that's for the 4-17, does not light up sprites. They're going to be rendered all black. You need to have at least a stationary light, or I think there is a translucent effect, translucent light. I had it checked off, but it wouldn't work with the sprites. So keep that in mind. So now let's move on. So inside the blueprint combination over here, we have our 4 elements. It's already out there. We have our cast and the materials are set. So now let's keep going. So now for the program, we're going to use the onInteract event. So that's from the line trace. So onInteract, compile, save, and then from here we can do event onInteract. There you go. And the first thing that's going to happen over here is going to be a do once. So again, this is because I want the player to only be able to put one combination. So far, that's what we're going to do. And if I find, well, I'm going to find a way to have you be able to change your combination on will, which it shouldn't be too hard. We're going to make another custom event. That way we can get ready for the next part. And we're going to add a reset. And the reason you want to have a reset in your code is in case your player dies in the process. Let's say there's enemies in your room and the player dies, but he already started doing the combination. Maybe you want to load the last checkpoint. Therefore, you need a reset. And from here, we're going to have my character over here. We're going to bring our character in. And now we're going to go get the hit result variable we did. And that's where it gets pretty cool. You can actually go get from the first person character, the line trace when it fires, you can go and get the hit result once more and get a new break hit result inside your blueprint. And what's cool about this is that you can actually decide which element did it hit. Did I hit element 1, 2, 3, or 4? And that's pretty cool. And since these are components, they're sprite components, so it should say here, sprite, paper sprite component, then inside the list over here, which one is the hit component? So that's what we're going to be playing with. So I can just grab the element 1, make a equal object, and it's going to check, did I hit the first one over here? And we can make the test right away. We can have it like this, compile and save. Here I have a print string come up and say you hit 1. And the second one, we can have the second one here, because after that I'm just going to copy this all over the place, and I'm going to speed up the video for the process. We can just have it here, have a control C over here and control V, and control C, control V over here, and this here would be you've hit 2. Perfect. So now compile and save, and now we can test it out already. So inside of viewport, so I already have them placed like this. Just for this tutorial, I'm going to put them on top of each other like this. So I'm going to put this here. So this would be representing of 1. This is 2. This is 3. And this is 4. Make sure the collision is set to block all. I think block all dynamics should be fine too. But just to be on the safe side, when I did create this program back before, 2 years ago actually, I did it this way. So maybe there's a reason behind it that Deathscyp from the past doesn't remember. So now let's test it out. So I'm going to go back in the scene over here. We're going to bring the blueprint combination in, turn it in. It's not important to place it right now because we're just testing it out. I'm just gonna bring it here like this, bring it out, and save. Okay, now that we have this, let's test it. We're gonna get inside the scene, run up to the area. So now here, if I hit the first one, you've hit number 1. And since I can only interact with it once because of the do once, I go to the second one, you hit 2. So now we know that the program is smart enough to know which element did I hit. So now you guessed it. Now it's pretty easy to figure out what we're going to do from here. So now I can already place this around. So I'm going to place the first one with you guys. And after that, it's going to be for the next one, we're going to go on speed mode just so that it can go faster. I'm also going to make the condition for the other 2. And then we can carry on the code from there. So now we have the first one over here. That's how I want to make it, but I mean, you decide how you want to make your puzzle. But you can see how it already fits with the scene. Like I didn't do anything magical over here. I literally took a texture from the scene and I added this little picture on it with Photoshop. So there we go. Well, you can use Sprite or GIMP. Everything works. I use all kinds of programs. Okay. So now that this works, we're going to be adding the other ones. Like easily enough, you can just, once you did the first one, if you've placed everything well in your scene, you can just drag it like this. And you're already done the second one, like so. All right, so I'm going to place the other 2 over here. And also inside this place over here, we're going to make the starting of the elements. So let's go. Alright, so we're going to be able to test them after. We can move on from there. So now that we have this, we need the game instance so that we can go put in our combination. So we have the player combination over here. Now we want to create our combination. So to do that, we're going to need to find a way to manipulate the info of the array. Now, believe it or not, but there's not a lot of resource out there that shows you how to do it. So I'm happy to make this episode on it to learn how to play with arrays because, I mean, there's so much potential behind it. Because it's one variable that holds multiple information. So you can imagine that instead of having 10 variables, or I don't know how big your puzzle is, you can get all the information inside one and make it work that way. I could even find a way to make a for loop or for each loop that checks all that's happening over here. But since my combination is fairly small, it works best for me this way. If you have more, then you might need to find a way to make a loop, like using a for each loop that gets the hit component, check if it's a 1, 2, 3, and so on. And then there's probably a way to automate the process over here to make it easier. Okay, so now that you have the check, so I know I hit the first element. So now I need to get the information to my player combination. So I'm going to bring the game instance in, control drag it in. From here, we're going to get the player combination like that. It's probably this that they were referring that already existed in the and then I'm going to bring this and set array element. And that's going to be the target. And now for the index, this is a variable that we're going to have inside our program over here because you want to be able to be customizing. Okay, so the first, so you want to say this one is going to be in relation with the image you see over here. So we know this is the first number of the equation. And if you check over here, the first number over here it says it's the leaf. So you put both together like this, you understand that this is 1. It's equivalent to 1. So the player understands this. So then you know that this one is going to be for the first number, the second number, the third, and the fourth. So now that you know this, inside the combination, you know that you can promote this to a variable, call it, what did I call it before? Combination to set. Bring it here, compile and save, and this one, you guessed it, is going to have to be editable. So compile, save this, and we're going to put it inside the custom. You can just put it inside combination, like this. Now that we have this, you have to set it to whatever is going to be. So you say this one, if you hit the first element, is going to be equal to 1. You can control C, control V over here. This one's going to be 2. And so on and so forth. So I can just copy the process over here And that's what's nice is once you have the code going, you can easily do, like I said, if I wanted to, I could have found a way. I didn't find a easy way to do it, so I wanted to show it to you this way. That way you have the simple way to make it. The more complex way would be to have it, what did I do? Over here is going to be 4. The more complex way would have to find a way to make one line of code that repeats and does everything for you. But I did not do that for this. So now that we have this, it's going to give you the right number. And after that, I wanted to play a sound effect. So play sound 2D because we're going to be next to it. In our case, that sound was going to be, it's going to be in the description below, like always. I always give away these sound. Most of the time I get them for free on freesound.org, so I can't take full credit for it since I sometimes I make them myself, but most of the time I get free sounds and I remix them and that's it. Now that it's there, you could have, you know, actually what? We're going to make it smarter. We're going to bring this to the end because everybody, all the codes are going to make this. Now that to give the player a notification that you press something, you have a sound that's going to tell you, oh, I pressed something. You have something that's going to happen. You need something else. You need to change the image that's being displayed. So what I did over here is I control drag the element over here and I did a set sprite. And from here, I'm going to I'm going to promote it to a variable and call it sprite -1 selected. So now I'm going to make one for each of those. So I'm going to make a copy over here. I'm going to duplicate this, call it 2, and I'm going to repeat the process real quick. Control W, and just change the numbers to respective 3. There we go. Now we just have to match them to the first elements over here. So I have them over here inside 1. So I can just click on the magnifier over here, get them over here. That's another beauty of having them selected. And I already have the right measures too. I'm just going to click on the magnifier, get to the sprite. Well, I need to compile because I just created those. And then press the little arrow key, brings the one in. Do the same thing with the third one. And the fourth one. Just click on the magnifier, bring it back, and there we go. So now, actually, I did a mistake right here. We don't need those one. We need the one next to it. So we need the Litten one. They're right next to them, so it's no problem. If you got the first one, then you got the second one. Again, these images are going to be in the description below. Like always, if you didn't get them already, because we're already at the third part of this blueprint code, so now you can bring them in like this. So now you know you're going to change it to the first element, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to copy this, but like on a speedy time, just because I want to. It's wasting time to repeat everything for you guys. So RER. Here also I'm going to set the material because to give a good feedback you want the object to shine. And right now since we're using the lit material, it's going to play with the light in the scene. But now you want to subtract. You don't want the light anymore. You want to have the unlit one. So again, for this we can go over here and say mask unlit. There you go. And I think we're done. Yeah, that's it. So now over here, I would connect it to the sound. Like so. And then actually, you know what? No, yeah, that would be it. And I go Control C, and then I copy everything. All right. Compile and save, and now you should have your program working. We are already done doing the program. Good job. We're going to have these set also outside because now for our purpose, and I want to give you that tool too, is that for this tutorial right now, yes, you have everything that works. But normally you want to be able to set these things so that you can use this code all over your game. Maybe you have 4 different puzzles that are going to use that same theme but different image, and maybe different ways to make it. So to be able to customize them, what I do over here normally is I take this, and you can just copy this like this, and you can have a custom variable to make it. which I do not have over here. So I'm going to make a, so here I can set sprite. That's only to give you the little extra on how to customize your stuff, because that's all. It's all about customization nowadays. And if you cannot make any customization in your game, it's going to take you so much time to remake everything, because sometimes you already have the codes. And what's nice with Unreal, not also not you can always reuse your code. Not only that, but you can also transfer it to another program. So if you already made a code like this, it's done forever. It's yours. You can just copy it. You can copy them from engine, as long as you don't copy the construction script and or anything that's red, because that can make the engine crash. I've lived it many times. You can copy, like I had it on another engine, and I just grabbed this like this and I copy it there when I was remaking the episode, and I can just pick up from there. You know how much time you save when you're doing this, and that's the tool I want to give you guys. So here I'm going to promote to a variable, call it custom element dash one, and then we're going to do control here. I'm going to do a control W, control U, and then just rename it to 4, 3. And the reason I wanted to place them in the scene first is because you're going to notice something when I'm done with this. And since they're already placed in the scene, you're not going to have that problem. So that's if you've been following. If you've just been watching and you started the video when I started doing this, you're going to notice you're going to have a little problem here. Is now that you set up this, if I go in my viewport, I don't see anything anymore. Even though my preset were already set over here. They do not show anymore. And if I go inside the scene, they are not there anymore. But they are there. They're just in a different place now since I decided to make a customization. So I can just have these over here for, put them in the selected view sprite, and I'm going to set all of them here like so. And for this one over here, we're going to say before selection, or to be selected view. And then I'm going to put the customize right here. And it's always best to place them. So if I want this to be on top, I can just do like this. So now you have the combination. So you set the combination first, set how they're going to look. So I'm going to make them editable over here, just like I did with these ones over here, compile and save. And these ones over here, I bring them to the component. So if you were the coder sending this to a level designer or a tech artist, everything that's in the component normally, it means you do not touch. That's how it works in the field. That's how I work with my little company. Everything that's in the components is meant not to be touched. But everything else, especially when you have the little eye over here, it means you can edit it, you can play with it, and the code over here, and you can change it. So now that we did that, you're going to see that, well, they don't seem to, oh yeah, they don't update right away. I think it's, I got to click on it again. Or they just didn't listen to the order I just gave them. But that's okay. I mean, it could be something with, I'm still in 4-17 because it could be something related to this. And then I could just go get my sprites, which are right here. I'm going to bring this to 1, this to 2, this to 3, and this to 4. And now you can see that they did not update them all. So, ugh. So I'm gonna skip ahead to this being done. And I think I put the wrong one over here. Whoops. Okay, now that it's done, we're ready to test our program. And the best way to test it is to have something check for it. So we're going to make a trigger volume, bring it in, bring it right over here, and I'm going to size it up just to make sure we can trigger it. It's always the best way to try anything in your stage, really. And I just realized I made another mistake. So before that, I'm going to right click over here, move this to the right level. I was supposed to work in this stage. I don't know why I didn't notice that, but we're going to do the same thing for this. So I'm going to select them, control select them all. Be mindful when you use blueprints, it might screw up. So it might happen right now. Move selected actors. It seems to work. But when I'm going to test them inside the scene, it might be a hiccup because I did that. They don't like to move between streaming levels, those blueprints, especially when you can interact with them. It doesn't happen all the time. So okay, so now we have this. So when I get inside here, so I'm going to right click on the borders, add event, on actor begin overlap. So now again, since we did it in the last episode, so if you've been following along, and the last episode, we already had a code. I think it was in the persistent level right here, where we were checking the winning combination, see if it worked. So I can just grab this, and we can just bring it right away here. So that's pretty much what I want to do. I want to have the winning combination and the player combination. So I'm going to bring this like this. And do I already have a cast to the game instance over here? I already do. So instead of using this, I can delete this and delete this. Basically over here, all you have is what we did in the last episode that I was saying. In the first part, we did a sequence that was going to bring up the door over here. That was going to bring up the door to stuck the player over here. So you're stuck in this room, and at the same time, it allowed us to get rid of the stage 2-2, unload the streaming volume. So now over here, we did this, and we do a shuffle for the winning combination to make sure it's different. So before, in the last episode, we did it inside the master level over here. We did it right over here somewhere. But now we're going to have it right here happen as soon as the trigger picks you up. And that's the trigger where this scene happens. So as soon as you get in here, the combination is going to be shuffled over here, and you can see it from down there that it's being shuffled over here, the images. So just a quick a reminder of this. Now we're going to go over here. We're going to have this compile and save. And if you go and check, because we're not 100% done yet, we're going to have this over here. We just wanted to check when you get inside. You're going to control drag the game instance, get player combination, and instead of here, you can control drag this over here, and you don't need to shuffle anymore. So we can just get rid of shuffle, and same thing over here. We don't need to shuffle, but we do need the combination. So like this, bring it here, and this over here. Get. Compile and save, and you're ready to test. So you're going to have the first two, the first three, the first four. They're going to be checked for. And if you want to make sure that one is according to the other one, you can make another pin over here. Control drag these ones over here. Control click them. And then here you can say player combination. Like so. And I can change the color. Oh, I'm going to leave this one teal. And I'm going to connect this over here. And this one over here, I'm going to call it, I'm going to do the same thing. This over here, and this one's going to be called the winning combination. Just to see if the program works. All right, we're almost done, guys. This, and this. Compile and save. And now we're ready to try it out. So let's see. The only thing I think wouldn't update would be this. So if I go and Control V on this, just have to check, because I think this only works at the beginning. Yeah, this only works at the event begin play. And if we don't have a shuffled combination already, then this brings a problem. So seeing this, I might need to change what I just said just now. And it's better to fix it before anything else. So this puzzle is going to happen in the third stage. So as soon as the 2-3 gets prompt, this is where the combination should happen. So not on the trigger volume. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the shuffle happen at the beginning, as soon as the event begin play fires. That way the program should fire good. And just to make sure it works, inside the winning combination, so the puzzle check over here, before this fires, what you could do is to give the time for the other event begin play. So to give time to this one to fire, to make sure this can fire first, you could do is inside the blueprint check, you could add a delay over here. I know it's a bit ghetto, but it works nevertheless. Just not to have to rechange everything. This would be a fail switch. It would work. Now, compile and save, and we're ready to do it all. So play. I'm going to get inside to my puzzles, and before I press anything, I'm going to go check if the combination is 0, 0, and we have a combination. So we have 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's 4, 3, 2, 1. So you can see that they updated accordingly. Now I'm going to go ahead and put any combination. If I wanted to, I could have two of the same. You see that the program doesn't stop me from doing it. Now if I go over here, it should be 4, 4, 2, 3. Is that what we got? We got 3, 0, 0, 0. Ooh, that's not good. Well, let's see what I did wrong. Oh, I know what I did wrong. Since we did the combination to set, it should be, this one should be the 0. This one should be the first one. This one should be the second one. And this one should be the third one. Because 0 is technically 1. Let's retry this. So now, mea culpa, that was my mistake. But if this works, we are done. So let's put 3, 2, 1. Let's go 1. 3, 2, 1, 1. No, actually, no. It's 3, 1. 3, 1, 1, 2. 3, 1, 1, 2. There you go. And the combination change and the image change. So I hope you enjoyed this. In the next episode, we're going to be probably finishing up the season 3. So what's left is to make the reset possibility, like I just told you at the beginning, so that you can, let's say you saw the image after and you don't want to step on this because you know it's probably deaf, and the checkpoint in your game is further. So you want to be able to rechange the combination after, let's say, a second. We're going to add a reset possibility just to be able to change the combination. And before you get to this, so we're going to add a reset possibility, a losing possibility. So that means you think you had the right code, you get up to there, and it's actually not the right one. So something would happen. In our case, it's going to be a spike trap that we already know how to make. That's going to bring up and kill us, since we already have a death scream also. And the winning combination to be done our season. So always have fun with you guys, and like and subscribe if you like what you see, and I'll catch you in the next episode.